17, 15, and 5 as of January 1st, 2037. That is where we currently find your California Golden Seals. We have just a few seasons left, relatively at least. I do believe it's 42-43 as we added it up before. That is the 25-year mark. So again, we are in these final few years. The goal was to be competitive, and in some aspects, we are. But there were obvious issues with the team, and we have made changes as a result of your feedback. Not going to get to the comments, though. I want to make sure I get these episodes up, which, again, I know there's not much editing to begin with, but, you know, I balance a lot. That's all I'm saying. So this is the squad as it stands, and as it will be as we head into the remainder of this season. Top line, Ralph Ricci, he's been okay, but not amazing. Will be with Angelo Bachman and Ben McCauley. Second line, Steven Moroz will be with Ivanov and Nylander. So this is a big opportunity for Moroz and Nylander to get back into our good graces. Of course, there was the talk of Moroz and Ivanov having some good chemistry together. We'll see if they can rekindle that. Boro is with Viano, who is unfortunately the one who's going to suffer here from us giving Moroz and Nylander an opportunity. He is with Robinson Melnick, who, you know, also capable of putting up some goals, so I'm happy to see what they can do. And called up from the AHL, Kretschmann and McCammond, both of whom were leading the way in terms of points. They will be with Henry Yang, who has been extremely disappointing. That means that Hartnell and Garnett have been sent down. Nobody else could be sent down without being affected by waivers, but as I've shown in the past, I'm not afraid to lose somebody if they're not performing at the NHL level. For example, Brian Boro, if he just starts to tank it and clearly isn't worth keeping, I'm fine with potentially losing him on waivers. What's the big deal? 43 points before, 30-point seasons. He hasn't shown that same ability. So if someone's not performing, goodbye. See you later. Simply put, somebody else gets the opportunity. Defensively, it is going to be Nichushkin, McCall, McPherson, Francois, Shattenkirk, Zieler. The goaltending still going to be Ackerland and Konowalchuk, neither of whom has been amazing. We do still have Van Allen and Mateo Fox waiting in the wings. It's still somewhat early into the season, that meaning, of course, that we haven't hit the halfway point in terms of games played. So there is still time for certain players to turn it around. It's going to be very interesting to see how this next month to month and a half go for us. Obviously, the trade deadline doesn't factor into this series, but we need to get the ball rolling here. We have certain players who need to turn it around, not just for the sake of this season, but for the sake of confidence heading into these final few years. I mean, you look at what Steven Moroz is capable of and how he struggled this year. That's obviously concerning. You look at someone like a Brian Boro, who has been, you know, pretty damn good at times. He hasn't been. You look at someone like Nylander, Kim Nylander, who we thought might be the solution as far as a true top-line player to maybe help carry us into this next generation with the Seals. And aside from that one season, he's been pretty disappointing. And he has been disappointing because of that season. He has this out-of-nowhere career year and hasn't done a whole hell of a lot since. So there's a lot of pressure on some of these guys. It's a question of just how many opportunities do we give somebody. I'm not against letting certain people go if they're proven to not be the guys that can carry us. I'm not going to hold on to a Kim Nylander, for example, if he continues to struggle. Why not get rid of him, give someone else, a younger player, an opportunity, and sure, maybe we end up missing the playoffs, but that's a better draft pick. I would rather help develop a younger player and get a better draft pick than hope that Kim Nylander finally finds his game. So maybe that is the solution here. Maybe we do need to be a tad bit more ruthless instead of holding out hope for certain players to turn it around like we kind of did with the original core group of players. Now we are at 23, 21, and 5 as of February 1st. North Bay still doing very well, which is a pretty good sign. But right now, we're definitely not going to be where we want to be. We are currently dead last in the Pacific, although 2 points separate third from 8. It's a close division. It's still anybody's game at this point. We're not out of it, but the only reason we're not out of it is because the division's kind of lackluster. Goaltending-wise, Konowalchuk's only played 1 game, but Torsten Ackerland not exactly killing it for us right now. Defensively, Nichushkin at least still has a positive plus-minus. Left-hand side is the more defensive of the defensemen. Right-hand side are the point getters, which is where we find Landon McCult, who has been tremendous this year. Larry McPherson has struggled. Rene Francois has been horrific. 54-point defenseman last year. He's been absolutely horrific. Shattenkirk's been okay. Andrew Zieler hasn't been. So, easy change. We go ahead and bump up Zieler and Shattenkirk, but that's what I'm talking about, man. The underperforming players. Ralph Ricci up to 26 points, so he's done well. Bachman at 37. Ben McCauley has 3 goals over the past month. Not ideal, but he's on 30 points. Moreau's up to 12 goals, 20 points on the year. Ivanov, 38 points, and 21 for Kim Nylander. Brian Borough, 18 points, 18 goals for VNO, so he had 5 goals throughout January. And Robinson Melnick at 22 points. Kretschmann, 5 points in 12 games, not bad. Henry Yang still on 8 points, 3 points in 12 games for McCammond. So, admittedly, kind of want to bump up Kretschmann to see what else he can do. I think we'll leave him there for the moment. It's kind of tough to tell what exactly we want to do with this team. Because again, we have those type of guys, the Francois, the Svobodas, who have been given an opportunity. Hartnell's still younger. Garnett's still younger, so they still have the chance to turn it around. Obviously, someone like Thomas Nylander's been given countless opportunities. There's no reason to be too attached to some of these guys who are underperforming. For now, let's go with that good bit of menu lag there, which is always nice. For now, let's go with those base changes that we made. We will sim to March 1st, which again, as far as that being deadline day, doesn't factor into what we're doing at all, but we need to see results over these next few weeks. Otherwise, it could be a different episode than what I'd prefer it to be. I would prefer this to be a, hey, we turn things around, we're in the playoffs, hooray, kind of video. There's a chance that it won't be. And if it's not, I'm not going to say heads will roll. That's a little bit unfair. But there might, maybe, possibly just be some changes. You know, we'll see. We'll see. I'm not saying that's a threat to our players or anything. I would never threaten our players with front kicking them out the door because they can't get the job done. Never. I'll be like Detroit and hand them 7-year contracts. I don't know why I felt the need to take a shot at Detroit, but when the thought of poor contracts for subpar players came to mind, Detroit was the first team to pop into my head. You can't tell me I'm wrong for that, Red Wings fans. You can't. You know, you're suffering through it. Hell, I'm a Bruins fan. I've suffered through terrible contracts. Oh, goodness, now I'm depressed. That's okay. What's not okay is the fact that we've lost 4 out of our last 5 games. We need a win against Montreal, and we get it, 4-1. Good. 3 games left this month. New York, Columbus, Toronto. We need 2 wins here, minimum. Can we get that first one out of the way against the New York Rangers? No, we cannot. It's a shootout loss. I'm still going to say 2 wins are necessary. Don't know what these records are going to look like. My God, SimSpeed, let's go. We got stuff to do. Columbus is a result that'll show up in 6 hours. It's a loss. Come on, beat the Leafs. Beat the Leafs. Please. Please. For the love of God, please. This takes forever, man. Please. And we lost. Okay, great. 27-9. What is the playoff structure looking like? We are currently 4 points out, so it's not that bad. Oh, God. It's not great to have to rely on other teams' incompetence to overcome your own. Auckland hasn't been great. Did I not turn auto-rotate off? Was this the series that I turned auto-rotate off? I think it was. I think it was. The second I saw Con Walchuk not getting games, kind of knew something was up. Now here's the thing, of course, there's not a fatigue system in this game outside of the gameplay, so that's not too big of a concern. What is a concern, though, is that Auckland hasn't exactly done anything for us. Yeah, this was where I turned off auto-rotate. Cool. So Auckland hasn't been great. Boy, what the hell do we want to do here? Let's take a look at the rest of the team. Next game, You know, we might give Connor Walchuk an extended run just to see what he can do. But Åkerlund being the guy for us doesn't look to be the case. Defensively, Nichushkin 10 points and a +7. Landon McCult still picking up points. Shattenkirk's been okay. Zieler's been okay. And the McPherson-Francois pairing needs to go. So, in terms of who's been better here, 6 points and a -2. Jesus. Oh, boy. Shattenkirk, Who do I trust more to play with? I mean, both are going to have to play with a struggling player. Okay, this isn't good. I can't believe how bad Rene Francois is in terms of +-. It's absolutely brutal. Let's go with... I mean, it has to be... Yeah, there's only one way, and we have to break up that top pairing. We have to break up the top pairing to try and get everybody else to play to the level that they should actually be able to play towards. So it's going to be... Let's go with... I don't even know. Admittedly, I don't even know. Let's go for... McPherson's been struggling the most. We'll put him with arguably our best defenseman. Let's go Nichushkin, Zieler, Shattenkirk, Francois. Just see what happens. I probably trust Nichushkin and Zieler as our top pairing more, though. McCult will still have power play time. Offensively, Ricci 13 goals, 18 assists, 43 points for Bachman. McCauley still doing relatively well. Moreau's up to 18 goals. Nylander on 27 points. 20 points for Burrow. Viano is still killing it. Does he have power play time? He does. That would be why. Melnick doing relatively well. Kretschmann has slowed down a bit. That's because that fourth line not exactly firing on all cylinders. And I got to be honest here, for Ryder McCammond, I think your time here's done. Former 7th round pick, but I'm not just going to leave you as a healthy scratch. You've done well in the AHL, but every time I've given you a chance at the NHL, aside from the 2032-2033 season, you've struggled. 15 points, now 4 points in 26 games. It's just not enough. So if we lose Ryder McCammond to waivers here, so be it. So be it. It's not a major loss. He's not getting the job done. We can't trade him for assets anyway. So if we lose him, so be it. If we keep him, cool. As far as who gets the call-up, it's down to Svoboda, Francois, probably Nylander. Let's see. So Francois is doing very well in the AHL. 52 points in 63 games. Svoboda also doing well. All right. Next up, it's going to be Svoboda being given the opportunity. If he fails, we call up Francois. Will we lose McCammon to waivers? We do not. So Ryder McCammon stays, which is fine. I mean, obviously he'll be, well suited for the AHL side of things. And he'll still help out the North Bay Dueling Narwhals. They won't be weakened by this move at all. So then Svoboda, we're going to put Yang on the outside there. Svoboda had decent faceoffs, right? Not as good as Yang, but Yang has that better shot accuracy. And then down in the AHL, we'll go best lines. So that's going to be the one change there for now, just to get something going with the fourth line. Let's give Gregory Konowalchuk an extended opportunity at proving, that he's starting potential, because we kind of need him to be. Because Åkerlund has not been. So he will get the next 4 games, actually, the next 5. He will play Dallas, Ottawa, St. Louis, Vegas, and Buffalo. And depending on how he does, he might be the starter again, and so far so good. He might be the starter again, although I turned auto-rotate back on. So actually, he might have only played against Dallas. Fair point. And we go 2-2, and then we lose to Buffalo. Fuck's sake. That's right, I was going to leave that off. But then I'm like, I'll turn it back on so I don't forget. These are the things that happen when this team doesn't do as well as they should be. Is that I sit here and make dumb mistakes. As, for whatever reason, I don't know if you're seeing that on screen right now. You might have. The Elgato just shit out for a second. That was cool. Can't wait to have to replace this probably. So shout out to the Elgato for almost shitting the bed there. In fairness, Konowalchuk. Konowalchuk's, he's only played 2 games, but you know what? Off Off with the auto rotate. We'll monitor it for the rest of the year. Off with the auto rotate. It must be done. It must be done. Connor Walchuk deserves the opportunity here to make something happen. We'll see if he can do it. We are currently 5 points out of a playoff spot, at least in terms of being in a top 3 spot in the division. So, he'll play the next 4 games here. Winnipeg, Anaheim, Carolina, and Pittsburgh. We do have a couple of back-to-backs in this month as we get shelled by Winnipeg. We lose to Anaheim, and methinks our playoff opportunities are about to go up in smoke. So we lose to Carolina as well. And I hope you like lottery picks, because it seems as though that's where we're going. We are currently still only 6 points out of a playoff spot, 6 points back of Vegas, but again, we're not a good team. We should be better than we are. Connor Walchuk hasn't been great. Åkerlund hasn't been great. Brutal. Absolutely brutal. Fox has still been phenomenal in the AHL. I think depending on our options here, we might call him up. We do still have faith. You know what, Fox? Let's do it. It's your time to shine. It is your time to shine. You are going to have the opportunity here to pull this off. We can actually send Connor Walchuk down, and we will. And, yeah, Mateo Fox is going to be our starter here. Something we had to do, crazy enough, in the playoffs. Might as well do it again. Let's see if it works. So, again, auto-rotate is not on. But we know Van Allen's been strong, but right now it's about trying to mend whatever confidence has been lost, and Mateo Fox is the guy. Lineup-wise, let's take a look defensively. Zeeler, I mean, oh my god, just the plus-minus of the team is fucking brutal. So between Zeeler, McPherson, and Francois at a minus fucking 25. McPherson at a 13. All right, we're going to go McPherson, Francois. Fuck it. Shattenkirk, Zeeler, whatever. Let's reward people with ice time who actually deserve it, because no combination is apparently going to save that line. Milan Svoboda has 1 goal in 9 games, 9 points for Kretschmann. So Melnick's still doing okay. Viano's doing great. Reminding me of another former player of ours who, you know, probably outperforms when he should throughout the course of this series. The only other changes we can make to the squad right now, it's further micromanaging. Just to try and give people a chance. That's all that can be done. So either Mateo Fox is going to start winning games and potentially drag us out of this, or we're essentially throwing in the towel on the rest of the season, and we'll take it from there. Fox gets the next 2 games here, Colorado and Calgary. We get an 8-5 win. That, I mean, instills me with confidence, and we actually end up beating Calgary. Åkerlund gets the next 2 games against Florida and Nashville. And then it'll be probably on a game-by-game basis. We are currently still 6 points out of the playoffs with 8 games left to go. Odds are we are dead in the water, and this will be a draft episode and potentially a me getting rid of underperforming players episode. Because, again, I'm not afraid to ditch players, even if we don't get anything back for them. I'm not afraid to ditch players who are underperforming. It's a necessary evil in a series like this. If players aren't getting it done when they've been given opportunity time and time again, why keep them? Just because they had done well in the past? Doesn't work that way for us, unfortunately, as we do get the win over Florida. Can we beat Nashville? We do. It's now 4 straight wins. Nice of us to go on a run here. We are 4 points back with 6 games to go. Mateo Fox will get this next game. If he wins, he stays. If not, we turn to Åkerlund to try and pull off a miracle of getting us into the playoffs. But let's be honest, is that even really what we want? Do we want to make it into the playoffs? I don't know if we do. It might be for the best that we don't. We do get the win, so Mateo will play until he loses 2 in a row. That's how we're going to handle it. Well, we don't have that many games left, so there's a chance Ackerland doesn't get an opportunity for the rest of the season, as North Bay is pushing for 60 wins on the year. They won't get it, and we do lose the next 2. So we have 3 games left this season. Minnesota, who are great. San Jose, who are good. Columbus, who's about where we are. Are we officially out of a playoff spot already, though? 78 points. Oh yeah, we're done. We're done. That's it. A disastrous season for the California Golden Seals as we miss out on the playoffs. A year where we were hoping to improve, get back into the playoffs, get out of the first round. We don't even make it. And I said earlier I didn't want to say heads will roll, but heads are probably going to roll, and we're going to cut some dead weight because we have to. We have to. We don't have time to screw around and to give players opportunities who are going to underperform. We don't have time. It seems like 5 seasons or so is a lot of time. It's really, really not. We'll be looking at the season stats here moving forward. I just want to get to the end of it. Let's just get towards the draft. We'll be looking at player stats shortly because we're going to be looking at every single player during the draft, and if I have the option to trade someone and do the whole 7th round pick swap, that is exactly what I'm going to do. As far as who led the league in points, I'm not too concerned with that. North Bay, in the playoffs, they're moving on to the 2nd round. If they win, sweet, but that's not my focus right now. That's not my focus. My focus is just kicking some people off of a pier as the North Bay Tula Narwhals are going to the conference final. We might have a special team on our hands, especially with the goaltending change. I thought that was going to be the alert about them going to the cup final, although there was a chance they have already been eliminated. And no, North Bay off to the Calder Cup final. I guess we'll have to pay attention now, right? It's Detroit and Edmonton, and in the Calder Cup final, we have a 1-1 split against the Stockton Heat. So we'll see what we can do here. Let's sim games 3 and 4 on the road. It's a best of 3. Game 5 is a loss. Game 6 is a win. We are going 7 for the Calder Cup. Let's see what happens. Can the North Bay Doolin Narwhals do what the main squad can do or cannot do and win a title? First period is scoreless. Second period is scoreless. Let's just sim the third period. And the Stockton Heat have won the Calder Cup on the road in Game 7 by the score of 1-0. That is a devastating loss. The story of this organization. So close, yet so far. I think that would be the title of the 30 for 30. Although there's probably a wittier title. I just can't think of it right now because I am far, far too frustrated with a lot of the players on this team. At the very least, we will look at the awards. Let's do so, though, after taking a look at the lottery results. And we'll see the retirements as well, which shouldn't really factor into what we're doing here. We have the 11th pick of the first round. It's not bad. We have a chance to get a pretty decent talent that may have slipped a little bit further back. So that's a pretty big win for us, actually, to end up getting that 11th spot. These guys like Barkov, Austin Matthews retires. Take a look here at all of the forwards as well. And defensemen, just that in terms of point totals, they can get a little bit of love. Sergachev finishing just shy of 600 points. Didn't look at goalies, though. As a couple of our scouts have retired, that's fine. Let's be honest. I'll forget to look anyway in terms of bringing them back, won't I? So let's see the hell we're dealing with in terms of awards. And once we're in the draft, I'm going to start looking at the trade screen option. And I'm probably going to immediately boot people. Probably. In terms of player awards, Vinehandle wins the Art Ross. Foot the Hearts. Is there anybody that we know? That's Capo Caco winning the Lady Bing. And unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of who the hell are yous at this point. In terms of player awards down in the AHL, we had a team go to the Calder Cup final, but they did not get a single individual award in the regular season. So, to the draft we go. Let's take a look at this team. Like I said, this might be an overreaction. Heads are going to roll. Let's see what we have. We're starting off with the goaltenders. Right now, our situation is that Åkerlund's the main guy for us. Konowalchuk is there. Åkerlund is no longer RFA eligible. 5th round pick. Looked like he might have been the guy for us. Of course, we have Fane, who's just supposed to be here to fill out a roster spot. Let's take a look at Torsten Åkerlund. So since being called up to the NHL, 919, 905, 919, 909 in the playoffs, in his 2 appearances in the NHL, he has been brutal. Is he worth trading just yet? I'm going to say no, because he's had an okay season, if not a good season, bad season, good season, bad season. He gets one more chance to prove himself, but if he falls short, especially if we make the playoffs next year, he's gone. Simply put. Simply put. Konowalchuk, on the other hand, still way too early to get rid of him. He did okay at the NHL level. AHL this year, he was also, earlier this year, once we sent him down, he was pretty good. Obviously, he stays. We're not going to get rid of him just yet. He's 23. And Van Allen, admittedly, was dominant at the AHL level. He sucked in the NHL last year. He's still worth keeping just in case Åkerlund slips up. We call up Van Allen and run with him and Konowalchuk. So right now, Van Allen is the insurance policy, and Mateo Fox as well can stay. NHL-wise, he was brutal in his 5 games, but he's a dominant AHL goalie. I think the goalie situation stays the same for now. It depends on whether or not we find a goalie in this draft that changes. Defensively, let's take a look at overalls here, actually, if I can hit the proper trigger. So we have Nichushkin. He's 20 years old, medium elite. Obviously, he's not going anywhere. 14 points and a +1 in his rookie season. His development has been ridiculous. He stays. He got the call up for the playoffs last year. He is staying. McPherson as well. Struggled this year, obviously, but he's still just 20 years old. We're going to give him the chance to turn it around. First season was great. This year, big-time sophomore slump, at least in terms of plus-minus, and the penalty minutes taken. He stays. Shattenkirk is now 25. Let's take a look here. He's played quite a few seasons. So 13 points, a +17. The point totals, often between 10 and 20. Career high of 25. He was not as great this season, to put it nicely. Not worth getting rid of, though, at this point. And then there's the 33-year-old Andrew Zieler, who still put up 20 points, but he's dropped off a little bit. And I think that's enough of a drop-off, and we have players who have proven that they can put up points, that I think that drop-off is a little bit too much. I mean, he started this season off, if I'm not mistaken, on the top pairing. I think we get rid of Andrew Zieler. Reason for that is we still have Rene Francois, who also screwed up heavily this season. Still put up 34 points, though, in his 26. He gets another opportunity to turn it around. Landon McCult was phenomenal this year, out of nowhere, putting up 49 points as a defenseman. You could say he maybe stole some of Zieler's thunder. But then from there, in terms of a 6th defenseman, we have Pat Ling, Kolosov, Vorobiev might be good enough. Conacher is right there. Nicholson's on the verge. I think it's time that we say goodbye to Andrew Zieler. He's 33. He's going to regress. That is our first step. Andrew Zieler is on the way out. And that's been a debatable point as far as when does Zieler go, when does Ivanov go, if at all. And at the very least, the answer for Zieler is right now. And I think we're going to try to send him to the Bruins, who are interested. Again, straight 7th round pick swap just to get rid of him. Are they interested? Yes, they are. Andrew Zieler, traded to the Boston Bruins. He's out of here. Another longtime member of this squad is gone. In terms of forwards, this is where it will get interesting. Angelo Bachmann is obviously going nowhere. He is hopefully the guy, whether it be as the 1C, probably not, but he is hopefully the guy that leads us into the future. He did put up 56 points, though. A couple more penalty minutes than you would have preferred. He's going nowhere. Sergei Ivanov, I still say, is worth keeping around as the 2 or 3C. I mean, I don't really see the reason to get rid of him, you know? Ralph Ricci was okay with 40 points. He's still young enough. He's not going to get that much better, but I don't think it's time to get rid of him just yet. Vienno had a phenomenal season. That's where Moreau's goal scoring went. 33 goals in his rookie season. Stefan Vienno absolutely sticking around. Kim Nylander, 37 points. He goes from 76 to 48 to 46 to 37. He's done. I don't want him here anymore. I don't want him here anymore. Right there, it looked like we had found a gem. An absolute gem. He's just not there. He can hit 20 goals at best. I mean, again, at least he was hitting 40. He drops down to 30. Has the excuse of not being in the top 6 for the first half of the season. He had a chance to dig himself out of it, and he didn't. He's a former first-round pick. That's all well and good. He's gone. I don't want him here. I'm tired of being disappointed by him. He is not what we thought he might have been. He is a step above Devin Setaguchi. Or in fairness, not Setaguchi. I'm thinking of Jonathan Chichu. He's a step above Jonathan Chichu in terms of, hey, here's a really good season, and I'm going to disappoint you from there. Now, in fairness, he had been a little bit better than that over the, and he probably did a little bit more than Jonathan Chichu, but you get the point. He's gone. I don't want him here. We'll send him to the defending Stanley Cup champions, so you can go ahead and do well over there. Nylander, get off my team. I'm sick of you. Former first-round pick. You have that ridiculous cap hit. If anything, this might screw over the defending Cup champions. I'm sick of you. Leave. Get off my team. See you later, Kim Nylander. Who's next? Because we're probably not done. Let me go ahead and pin that Detroit 7th. And we'll see. So again, Bachman safe. Ivanov safe. Ricci safe. Vienno safe. Boro. Brian Boro. Put up 30 points this year, which for the bottom 6 isn't too bad. Third line, that's typically the target. Thing for him, though, 20 points, 32 points, 43 points, pretty good. 32 points, 30 points. In terms of the playoffs, has never been a point producer. I'm going to move on from Brian Boro. I think we can find a younger player who is still more than capable of putting up 30 points in the playoffs. Or in the regular season, I should say. I just don't want him here anymore. I don't want him here anymore. Former 5th-round pick. I think we move on. We make room for some new blood. Brian Boro is going to be on the way out as well. Let's try to send him out to the Florida Panthers, if at all possible. Again, only looking for Eastern Conference teams. That's the one thing I can control. They have a lot of picks this year as well, so they're looking to rebuild. And we will take your pick, Florida. Brian Boro, okay. I was wondering, with the contract expiring, if they'd be willing to take him. They're not. So odds are, Brian Boro is just going to be released, unless you want to make a case for he should stay. Let me know. Odds are he's gone. Steven Moreau's will be given one more opportunity to prove that he is not a fluky player. 40 goals, 30 goals, 39 goals, hit 28 this year. He'll be given another chance. He needs to step it up, though. He needs to step it up next season. Robinson Melnick honestly did pretty damn well. 45 points. I'm happy with that. Took a lot of shots as well. Melnick is fine where he is. McCauley slowed down big time in the last half of the season. Goes from 71 points to 49 points. I think, again, is probably safe for now, but it's a debatable point. Hartnell's still young enough that he's not going anywhere. Thomas Nylander, let's be honest, he's been jumped in the depth chart. He was given chances at the NHL level. He's on the way out. He's on an expiring deal. He's gone. Garnett could get a little bit better. McCammond, we gave another opportunity to. We'll probably let him go as well. Again, at the NHL level, what do you have? 4 points in those 26 games? Is that accurate? That is. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. 27 points look good. Next year, disappointed. This year, we give him one more opportunity. Didn't happen. we'll probably get rid of him. The only way we keep him or someone like Nylander is if it makes sense to, for the sake of making the dueling narwhal better. Milan Svoboda is now 30. He was given an opportunity in the NHL earlier this year. To be honest, he did okay. So he is probably one of the more likely players to be safe. Jean-Francois has this ridiculous contract. He killed the AHL this year. Maybe he gets one more opportunity in the NHL next season. And then, of course, you have someone like Mayorov, who is safe. Henry Yang, I think his time here is probably done. You can make the argument as far as one more season if you want to, but I'm not against just letting him go. He's been on the decline now for the past 2 seasons. Let me know what you think. Marleau is a relatively inconsequential player at 24. He's not going to get much better. Was given a chance in the NHL last year at 2 points in 24 games. He does okay in the AHL. Again, overall-wise, he's not going to improve by that much more. Again, the only way I see us keeping him is to make the duel and narwhal better. I don't see him making the NHL for us. You also have Baines at 23. We'll see how he did this season. 44 points. Might be given an opportunity. Attribute-wise, though, it's not great. So, I don't know. Maybe he could carve out a 4th-line spot. Kretschmann. Maximilian Kretschmann, 12 points in 45 games. So for a 4th liner, if he played the full season, he would have hit 20, which is what I'd hope for. And again, he was killing the AHL. More than likely stays and is given an opportunity next season. Then, of course, you have guys like Sarainen, Inglis, Tarasov, who are also developing. So the big news, of course, Zeeler is gone, Kim Nylander is gone, and more may follow. It's up to what you guys think for the most part as well. I want your opinion on some of those players, with the remainder pretty much being set to just having expiring deals. Now, as we get into the draft, Hector Sauer will be the first person to look at. Hello! Never mind. I don't know if anybody's going to top that. Juha Hentunen, the 18-year-old, looking like a beast. There's also Kent Arcabello, who we can't be as sure about, so that's not going to happen. Although, the one difference... actually, Hentunen is a two-way. Cogliano, we can't be as sure about that either, so it's a little bit risky. Elijah Parsons, maybe not that bad. Engren doesn't measure up. Corson doesn't quite measure up. There are a couple of guys here who are looking relatively strong. A lot of medium 6s at this point. Don't think we're drafting another Fragapane. So yeah, I think we are probably safe to draft one of the players that we have pinned already. I'm not seeing any crazy potentials there. So who is it going to be? We have 2 forwards and a defenseman. So between the 2 forwards, Khalil Cogliano's 18, as is Elijah Parsons. Neither we know for sure, right? Well, actually, with Parsons, we know for sure how good he is. Cogliano, it's not a guarantee. Theo Fleury comparison. We probably need forwards more, but obviously Hentunen's looking absolutely ridiculous. So do we pass up on who is clearly the best player available for the sake of taking a forward when we probably need the help there more? And I think the answer to that probably has to be yes. A plus A, B, and an A minus. A plus, A minus, B, and B. I think we take Cogliano and hope that he goes down to be better. I think we take Cogliano when we risk it. Now's the time. Hentunen's obviously great and is going to have a really good starting overall. We don't really need another defenseman from what we looked at. We already have players who are on the verge. So, as crazy as it is, we're going to take the risk. We're going to take Khalil Cogliano and hope that he ends up being better than Parsons. Let's do it. He is a 76 medium top 6. That is exactly what we needed. That is exactly what we needed. Beautiful. Beautiful. That is a huge pick for us to potentially get a little bit more forward help We'll see whether or not the right choice was made, as Arcabello was a 75, Parsons was a 73. We made the right call. And Hentinen was a 77, or Hentinen was a 77. So I'm feeling very good. Very, very good about that. We took the risk with it, not knowing exactly what he was. I wasn't exactly hoping to see an elite potential there, but I suppose the chance was there for it to be a low elite. It was not. Very happy with that pick. The second and third rounds have notoriously been hit or miss. Speaking of a low elite pick, Pascal Sauvé, the Suave. To be honest, those starting grades aren't that bad. That's going to be tough to not have me pick him, but then there's Scott Harrison. And getting one more goalie into the system would be very beneficial. Very, very beneficial. Is there anybody with a crazy good potential? That's the question right now. Orlando Alexi, Andrew Martins, shout out to Test, Sergio Chance. It comes down to the goalie or that forward. I think no doubt it comes down to that forward or that goalie at the top of the list. And then there's this low elite gem, Easton Negrin. Who the hell knows? There is a medium elite, Emilio Gill, as well. It's going to take a little bit longer to develop. Some might call him a project. What about the rest of the goalies in this draft? Is there anybody that can compare to him? Potentially. Kimmo Lapalainen. I'm going to go with my gut on this one. And this might be the pick to backfire. I'm taking the goaltender, Scott Harrison. I'm taking him. We'll see if this works. But we need other goalies in the system. I might take the franchise as well. Scott Harrison is a 67. At 18 years old, there is no doubt he will be NHL caliber before this series is over. But with doubts over Torsten Åkerlund, will Scott Harrison be the one to lead us to success? Or will he be another disappointment in a long line of disappointing goalies? Sauvé was a 63. So there is that. I feel good about that pick, to be honest. We'll see if you guys feel the same way. And Gill is still available, which is huge for us to get a guy who has really good high-end potential. Just no guarantees that he hits it. What about Skylar Pajot? No. This other medium 9, Lapalainen. Interesting, but he's an overager. So I'm not interested in that because the rest of his game won't develop in time to catch up with how good he already is offensively. Ekman Larson could be worth it, probably not. Rylan Tierney and Pandolfo. I think we're good on that front. Matheson could be worth it. Byers is very interesting, but again, an overager, so I just don't know if the skating and defense will measure up. I know he's a grinder. Strong physical ratings, decent shooting and puck skills. I don't trust that he's going to be a low elite. I think that's the big problem. I think that's the big problem for him. So, as far as who we have pinned here, it's got to be Gill. It's got to be Gill. He's 19. Maybe it works, though. We'll try it. Emilio Gill of the Saskatoon Blades, 56 overall. We knew it was going to be low, but that's our project pick where if somehow he develops, cool, but I highly, highly doubt it. Who else do we have available here? Jan Kvappel. 18-year-old, low elite, which is a pretty strong setup for him. And then Kimmo Lapalainen, who's also listed as a gem franchise. Probably the pick. Probably the pick. Like I said, I'm not against taking two goaltenders in this draft due to doubts over Åkerlund. Although, there's a medium elite grinder known as Rudy Sestito, who is also a gem. And that creates a little bit of a conversation, now doesn't it? And then Jared Corso as well, if we could trust that that was going to at least be low elite, could be the guy worth taking. Asher Millen, not quite. So back to the top of the list we go. It's either Sestito, Kvapil, or Lapalainen, and I'm already going to rule out Kvapil. Lapalainen or Sestito. I have a feeling Kimmo Lapalainen is going to be no different than Mateo Fox. No different in terms of he's just not going to make it to that elite level. But I'm still going to take him because he's a gem. Medium franchise, he's a 47. I'm pretty sure that's the exact same overall as Mateo Fox. But it's worth it. I'm happy with the forwards that we've brought in. We got 2 other goaltenders to add to this ridiculous core. And to hope that one of those 2, if in fact Åkerlund's not the guy, which it looks like he isn't, to hope that one of those 2 develop. Tommy Henley, unsure of him at this point. To be honest, we're getting to that point in the draft where it's like, all right, just sort by potential. Felipe Morris is not quite what we're hoping for. Yeah, we're at that point where it's worth it just to sort out. So we have quite a few low elites left on the board. Nathaniel Gertzen, no real guarantees there, and the stats aren't that impressive. There is obviously the 1 gem. Peter Halinka isn't that great. Matteo Setzinger, not that great. Gord Cummins with at least the C's, and Ashton Fritz. All right, so Gord Cummins right now is the favorite. And there was Millen, who's projected to go relatively soon, and Toby Tkachuk. I'm not seeing anybody. I mean, there are guys with like B's for shooting and puck skills, but it's still nothing all that ridiculous. And for defensemen, that's probably it. So we missed our opportunity to probably take any defensemen in this draft. The only thing I'm realizing here, of course, or thinking of here, is that Gord Cummins is, of course, fairly lowly rated, so we could take somebody else. Do we take the risk with Millen when he's not a guarantee? I'm going to say no. We have 2 defensemen, 3 defensemen and 2 forwards. Let's go for a defenseman here because we know we're going to be able to draft Cummins later unless one of the AI teams goes insane and takes somebody early. So every one of them is 18. C's and D's. It's Fritz. Ashton Fritz, Mississauga Steelheads. Low elite and a 53 overall. Not too shabby. In the 6th round, we will take the forward, Gord Cummins, which is a great name. But we'll go ahead and draft him, and from there we'll try to get at least one more elite. Cummins is a 51. Not surprising that it's a low overall. And we have the very last pick of this draft. Krejci's still on the board. Who else? Halinka, Setzinger, Krejci. Right. And nobody in terms of grades looks all that good. Setzinger is a beast of a man in terms of size. Cares about winning and is very outspoken. Driven to win, driven to win. You know, I want outspoken. I want someone who's passionate about winning. Mateo, let's go. I need someone like me. Say how it is when it comes to this game. Say you're sick of players, your teammates underperforming, and not getting the job done. Hell, I might name you captain. It might happen relatively quickly as we have reached the end of what is probably going to go down as one of the more intriguing episodes of the series, just in terms of the shortcomings and what happened in the direct aftermath. Again, there are players, there are arguments to be made as far as what happens next. I think for now the goaltending still probably stays the same. Defensively, it's going to be intriguing to see how this plays out. And forward-wise as well, quite a few contracts up, but we do have $93 million in cap space, so that's not a concern. More arguments to be had as far as the forwards are concerned with what happens next, who stays and who goes. that is where you take over. Looking forward to your feedback. I don't know what the hell this team's going to look like for our next season. All I know is that we need to be decided. It's either we're going for the playoffs or we're getting rid of some people, turning to the youth, taking a step back, and trying to get those 1 or 2 extra pieces that we thought we already had to try and get that inevitable cup run before we run out of time.